Imagine this: a funeral, mourners weeping, a coffin being lowered into the ground. Suddenly, a scream pierces the solemn silence. It's coming from inside the coffin. The woman they thought was dead is alive. This isn't the opening scene of a horror movie. It's the real-life story of Nacy Perez, a story that gets stranger with every passing second. On a hot afternoon in Honduras, 16-year-old Nacy Perez, who was 3 months pregnant, suddenly collapsed. Her family, believing she was possessed by an evil spirit after hearing gunfire nearby, called a local priest. When his exorcism failed, they rushed her to the hospital. 3 hours later, doctors declared her dead. The official cause? A severe panic attack that temporarily stopped her heart. The family was devastated. They held a funeral and buried Nacy in her wedding dress, a dress she had worn just a day earlier to marry her sweetheart, Rudy Gonzalez. The next day, Rudy visited her grave, as any grieving husband would. As he placed his hand on the cold concrete tomb, he heard it, a faint, muffled sound. He pressed his ear against the tomb and heard scratching, then a desperate scream for help. It was Nacy's voice. He frantically called for help. Family members rushed to the cemetery armed with sledgehammers. They smashed through the concrete block, a frantic race against time. The video of this moment went viral. You can see the sheer desperation as they break open the tomb. When they finally lifted the coffin lid, they found something both miraculous and horrifying. The glass viewing window on the coffin was shattered. Nacy's fingertips were bruised and scratched raw. She was cold, but she was alive. They pulled her from the coffin and rushed her back to the very same hospital that had declared her dead just 24 hours earlier. The family carried her limp body through the hospital doors, pleading with doctors to save her. But this is where the story takes a turn from a miracle to an even deeper mystery. The medical staff examined Nacy again. They ran every test they could, but this time they found no signs of life. No heartbeat, no brain activity. They declared her dead for a second and final time. The family was left bewildered and heartbroken. How could she be alive one moment, screaming from her grave, and then gone the next? Let's break down the medical puzzle here. The doctor's initial diagnosis was a cataplexy attack, a sudden loss of muscle control triggered by strong emotions, like the panic from the gunshots. This could make someone appear lifeless, with a heartbeat so faint it's undetectable without sophisticated equipment. Was it possible the hospital made a premature declaration of death? It seems plausible. People have been mistakenly pronounced dead before. This condition could explain why she woke up in the coffin. The lack of oxygen would have eventually caused her to lose consciousness again, and this time, permanently. But this explanation doesn't satisfy everyone, especially not her family. They believe something far more sinister was at play. Her cousin, Carolina Perez, told reporters she placed a hand on Nacy's body after she was rescued. She said Nacy was still warm, and she could feel a faint heartbeat. Another family member swore Nacy's body didn't have the telltale signs of decomposition you expect after 24 hours. The shattered glass and scraped fingers are physical evidence that she was conscious and fighting to get out. So what happened in that second trip to the hospital? This is where things get truly strange. After Nacy was declared dead for the second time, she was returned to her family. They took her back to the cemetery and reburied her in the same tomb. And then she vanished. Not just her body, but seemingly all official records of her existence. Reporters who flocked to Honduras to cover this incredible story started hitting dead ends. Hospital staff became tight-lipped. Official records of Nacy's admission, her death certificates, seemed to disappear. It was as if the system itself was trying to erase her. The family, once vocal, grew silent. The cemetery, which should have been a key location, offered no clues. Surveillance footage from the days surrounding her reburial was either missing or corrupted. This official silence fueled a storm of speculation. Did the hospital cover up a massive blunder? Was it easier to make the problem disappear than to admit they had almost buried a live teenager? If so, where did her body go? Some theories suggest she was moved to an unmarked grave to prevent further media attention and potential legal action against the hospital. This theory holds some weight. A medical malpractice suit of this magnitude would be a huge scandal. But then there are the darker, more paranormal theories that are whispered in her hometown. Some locals still believe the original diagnosis of demonic possession. They suggest that the entity that possessed her kept her body animated, and the screams from the coffin were the work of this dark force. When she was brought back to the hospital, had the entity finally left, leaving behind an empty vessel? It's a chilling thought, one that taps into deep-seated cultural beliefs and fears. Another theory, perhaps the most heartbreaking, is that Nacy never really died the first time. She was rescued, but in the chaos and confusion, she was taken. Taken by whom? And why? Some have speculated about organ trafficking rings, a grim but very real danger in some parts of the world. Could someone have seen an opportunity in the confusion, a young, healthy body declared dead but very much alive? This would explain the missing records and the sudden silence from all official channels. It's a terrifying possibility. So we're left with a collection of fragmented pieces. A grieving husband who heard his wife's screams. A family who broke through a tomb with their bare hands. A young woman's body with scratched fingers and a shattered coffin window. And then, a wall of silence. No body, no records, no answers. What do you think really happened to Nacy Perez? Was it a tragic medical error followed by a cover-up? Was it something supernatural that we can't explain? Or was it a sinister crime hidden beneath a bizarre story? The case of the girl who screamed from her coffin remains one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries of our time. It's a story that forces us to question the very line between life and death, and to wonder what secrets might be buried, waiting to be discovered. The mystery of Nacy Perez is a haunting reminder of how fragile life is, and how quickly a story can spiral from a miracle into an enigma. We may never know the full truth. Her story has become a modern legend, a chilling tale told in whispers. What are your theories? Share them in the comments below. I'd love to read what you think. And if you're fascinated by mysteries that defy explanation, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we have many more stories like this to explore together. Thanks for watching.